Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. One cool thing about the original Xbox was that it had downloadable content. PC and the Dreamcast had DLC, but the Xbox really pushed it for consoles. Today, I just want to take a look at some of the DLC that the Xbox had. This is a topic I've talked about before, but I wanted to return to it. There is so much that all won't be covered here, but let me know if I didn't cover some of your favorites in these first two episodes, and I'll throw it in next time. All footage was captured on an original Xbox, and I want to thank my YouTube channel members for their support, but let's go ahead and hop on in. First up is Unreal Championship, developed by Digital Extremes and Epic Games. It is a great console shooter. It's quick, fast-paced, and it's plain simple. You just shoot and kill. You run around, pick up a whole mix of weapons, and shoot. It has an offline mode that's great today, and if you have Insignia set up, you can still play this one online. I've done it, and it's been a great time online. Unreal Championship had 4 multiplayer maps added through DLC. The first map is the only capture the flag map of the bunch, and that's Oteros Run. What I like about this game is the simplicity of map design and how the classic shooter gameplay works in hand with the levels to make for fast arcade fun. Here you have 2 bases on either side of a dark jungle. A canyon sits through the middle and bridges go over it. It makes it so there's an upper and lower path you can go through whenever you take flags from the enemy base, and there's 2 lanes to protect from enemies taking from your base. It's simple, and it led to some great bot matches that I had. It's smaller and leads to constant action whether I'm protecting or taking. I think the look complements it too with a dark vibe. The jungle trees hang around and the sci-fi bridges cut through the middle. It's something different in the map lineup, and it leads to a memorable map. The remaining 3 maps are all meant for deathmatch gameplay, with the first being Aqua Mortis. This is a medium-sized map with a large courtyard in the middle and tunnels running above it and to the sides of it. It's nice and easy to understand, and it's the visuals that make this one stand out. It has a sleek sci-fi look with tons of whites. The tunnels all have windows on the sides, so at all times you can see enemies duking it out in the middle of the courtyard if you're in the tunnels. There's something about the constant visuals of action that makes this one striking. You have a vantage point no matter where you go or who you attack. It all weaves well together and the action is great. It's another fun map where the level design helps elevate it, and I also love the shark chilling in the middle of the water. Next is the map Inferno. This map feels like it was ripped right out of a Doom game. A giant firewall surrounds the map, and the architecture is hellish castle walls. The look of this level is so outlandish for this game, and I love that. DLC is a good place to put out weirder things, and this map is a neat oddity. The map is gigantic with tiers and tiers of levels. They snake through each other, and there are a ton of areas for shooting. It might be a bit too large and weaving, but it's still fun. There are fun places where you can hop around on different platforms, and it allows you to hop down on top of an enemy you see below. This is a neat one. The final map is Leviathan. I've used the word simple quite a bit in this section of this video, and I'll continue to use it here. This map is as simplistic as you can get. It's simply one tunnel with 2 bases on either end, and then there's 2 ramps that lead to overlooks on the tunnel, but these overlooks are tiny. That's it, and I love it. This brings me back to the easygoing days of early shooters, just throwing you into a room to kill others. It's easy and fun. It looks nice with great lighting effects, but you will be dying so quickly that it's hard to take it all in. This one is nothing spectacular as far as looks go, but it's just plain fun to play in. Overall, the 4 maps added to Unreal Championship are a nice extra touch to the game. They all deliver something different for single player or multiplayer rounds, and they're all well worth the download. Next is Lynx 2004, the Xbox exclusive golf game. IndieBuilt made it, and I fully reviewed it on the channel before. It's a fun golf game in the XSN Sports line. It's simulation-based, but not too challenging. It's easy to pick up and control with some excellent courses, and it also looks great on the Xbox. And with the RPG elements of the single-player mode, it's a blast to return to over and over. Lynx 2004 has 3 extra DLC courses added to its lineup, all with 18 holes to play on. The first course is Kapalua Plantation, based on an actual golf course in Maui, Hawaii. Since it's set in Hawaii, you get an excellent tropical vibe with this course, with lush greens and palm trees. Yet, it's also extremely hilly with holes that sit alongside cliffs or are divided by them. Out in the distance, you can see mountains and a resort. It all looks good on the Xbox with a great draw distance, and I love the look of the trees. The best part of this course is how it feels etched into the area's rolling hills. I've never been to this course in real life, but it does feel realistic. Nothing stands out to me as truly awe-inspiring, and it is a typical golf course, but it's well made, and the course was a nice addition to the lineup. The second course is OM Director's Cut, which is a remake of a course in the base game titled Ocean Mills. This time, the course is a lot harder with more elevation and more obstacles like sand traps on the course. It's funny, I went back to read some old forum posts for when this came out, and there were multiple people talking about just how difficult this course was, but also that it was awesome, which is something I agree with. There is considerable challenge here, but it's the best DLC course. The elevation makes for some tough shots, but this course has serious variety. Every hole feels different, and it's mixed in well with a dense forest around you. It makes for something visually fun. This course is winding and creatively done, and it's a blast. The final course in this mix is the Gallery. This is another real course based on the Clubs of Dove Mountain in Arizona. With this course, you get something different added to the game with a darker color tone. There are cactuses everywhere and sand, and there's not a lot going on, but it works with the area to make for a cohesive course, and I think it looks great. The vistas are gigantic, and it's another solid course to play on. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 DLCs, and that's mainly due to how simple the holes are. But even then, it's still fun. The same great golf courses are here, and it was a fun 18 holes to roll through. Overall, all 3 of these courses bring something fun and different to the game, and if you are a golf fan, this game is worth picking up and getting this DLC for to add even more game time to this great game. Next is the first-person shooter Counter-Strike, developed by Valve, Ritual Entertainment, and Turtle Rock Studios. This is the Xbox port of Counter-Strike, which is a great port. I've played plenty of this version on Xbox Live through Insignia. It has all of the shooting action you could want, and it's quick, so it's easy to fit in a few games on Insignia every once in a while. Counter-Strike received 2 DLC maps. The first DLC is Office. And to be fair, I am not a Counter-Strike expert by any means, so what I say for both of these maps may be far off, but I was surprised that this wasn't in the base game. When I think of this game, I think of Dust, Italy, and Office. So the fact that such an iconic map came with DLC is interesting. This map is great as always and has a neat, snowy outdoor area with crates and objects to hop into to try to rescue the hostages in the building. As the terrorists, you get winding hallways to attack the counter-terrorists. I love the office architecture with bland walls and a design that only adds to the atmosphere, feeling just like a boring office. The maps of Counter-Strike always seem to be laid out in instinctually understandable ways without being too simple, and there's always multiple paths with tons of detail. And Office is such a solid map. Inferno is a map I'm less familiar with, but is a fun map as well, and I actually looked into this one, and this one ranks in some of people's favorites of all time, and I'll be honest, I do like the design of it here. It has buildings that surround you and you weave through pathways between them to get to the bomb detonation points. There's good ways to sneak up as the counter-terrorists, and there's great places for terrorists to hide out when they're waiting for the bomb to count down. I love the nighttime feeling with some great lighting. It's a classic map, and it's another one that I'm surprised wasn't in the original, since it's in a lot of Counter-Strike releases. Both of these maps are essential downloads for any Counter-Strike fan on the Xbox, and these are great additions to the game. Next is Midtown Madness 3, developed by DICE. This is a great arcade racer on the Xbox. It features both Paris and Washington, D.C., and great recreations. It has great game modes, and it has you rushing through the city. It all controls well and is simplistic, but also fantastic. Throw in an online multiplayer that's amazing, and you have a recipe for an Xbox classic, which is a console with some amazing racing games. A lot of DLC was released for this game with a mix of cars and a ton of racetracks. The cars released were the Ambassador, R4000, Shopper, Trasher, Carica, Furious, Last Craft Wagon, Concept, Formula Midtown, Rusty, Birkin, Campione, Python, and Stalker. Some of these being fun, real-life feeling cars, and then there's some silly ones like the shopping cart and the dumpster. It's a nice mix and adds some flair to the game. A crazy part of this DLC is that it adds 40 new tracks to the game, 20 for Washington DC and 20 for Paris. Breaking that down, it's 10 each for the Blitz mode, which is like time trials, and then the other 10 are for checkpoint mode, which are races in the city. And I'm not going to display all of them, because though they are new courses, they're within the same city. The way this game works is you get a giant map laid out for you, and then points are put on the map. And this just gives you new layouts within the city. It's not too crazy, and I feel like if it was a 360 game, we would have just gotten an all-new city, but for what it is, it's a great booster of content in this game. It's more things to do, which I can appreciate. So I say it's worth downloading and checking out just for that, but the cars are definitely the coolest part of this DLC pack. Next is a DLC for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic developed by BioWare. This is not only one of the best RPGs on the Xbox, but also one of the best games on the console. It's got a great plot within the Star Wars universe, but it doesn't feel like it needs to be directly tied to the movies, which I love. It does its own thing and lets you play a role within the universe. It's an incredible game with tons of places to travel to and plot lines to explore. On the Xbox, there is one piece of DLC called Yavin Station. It's honestly a tiny bit of DLC, and there's not much to say about it, but it adds a little bit more to the game. As soon as you download this, Yavin Station becomes a place available for you to travel to. Here there is a Rhodian named Suvam Tan. He runs a shop mostly for smugglers and sells high-end gear for you. This is your go-to place if you have a lot of credits because he sells some of the best gear in the game, and you can get good prices off of stuff you have. That's mainly what you're here for. But there is plenty of dialogue to roll through with him. He will give you tips on ancient ruins, give you some of his backstory as a slave, and you can actually play Pazak with him. There is a light storyline that pops up every time you come back to him while progressing the story. There's a group attacking him and you have to defend him multiple times. Honestly, it's not substantial, but the items are nice. This isn't essential, but it does add a little more to an already great game. I think it's a simple but fun little addition to the experience. Next is Doom 3, which id Software developed. This game received 2 DLC multiplayer maps after its release. The multiplayer for this game was honestly lackluster if you don't include the co-op. This version only allowed 4 people to play against each other. I think the game itself is pretty fun, and when you do play against 4 people, you can have fun with it, especially with smaller maps that are meant for chaos. The first map is Communications Receiving. It's pulled straight out of the game. It's one of the areas before you travel on the monorail between stations. It looks like a storage closet with a lot of boxes and shelving and rusted out rooms. It's very basic and is a tiny space with small rooms attached to it. There's not many secrets besides a small duct with ammo. With more than 4 people, this would be chaos, but with 4, I think you could have some fun with it, but it wouldn't be amazing. If anything, I'd say this captures the game's dark mood very well with pitch black corridors. This one is neat and simple. The other map is Surface, which is much better in my opinion. It takes place on the surface of Mars, and the area is neglected with falling structures and destroyed buildings. This map is tiny, which is perfect for a smaller multiplayer match. What it lacks in size, it makes up for in design. There are 2 bases on either side, which has a bridge connecting them both. This bridge is a great place to look down on any enemies below. There's even a hidden ladder that you can climb on to reach a nice rocket launcher. I love the sense of how tall this map is, and that design is really good for this game. I also love the dark, ambient noise of being out on Mars. I think overall this DLC pack is fun, and you could get some fun out of it, but multiplayer in Resurrection of Evil was much larger, and I'd say if you're going to replay Doom 3 multiplayer on the Xbox, that might be your better bet to play. We have a tiny piece of DLC for Outlaw Volleyball. This is a pretty simple volleyball game developed by Hypnotics. There's not a lot to this game, but it's super edgy, full of crude humor and scantily clad women. It's very much a product of its time, which makes it fun to revisit. I do think the Outlaw golf games are better because there's more to do, but this is still fine. This game has a single DLC character named Trixie. She's a sophomore in college according to her profile, and she can play a mean game of volleyball. She has a ton of one-liners.
Hello, do I look like someone who takes orders from someone else? I mean, really? Don't get too excited, I don't date outside my tax bracket.
And has plenty of costumes to choose from. She seems to have really good stats compared to everyone else, but honestly, she plays just like any other player here. This honestly is just kind of an unnecessary DLC. I feel like more than one character would have been nice, but I guess it's fine for what it is. You do not have to download this one. The final game we will discuss today is Return to Castle Wolfenstein, developed by Grey Matter Studios. This is a fun first-person shooter on the system with a solid multiplayer. I enjoy this one because it brings back memories of classic PC first-person shooters, and I've actually had the chance to play this one online with Insignia before, and it's a great time. I love the objective bomb detonation mode, but Team Deathmatch is always great with some intricately designed levels. The first of the 3 new maps is Barn, which is a gigantic barn. This map is multi-layered with basements and multiple levels above the main one to travel on, and even lets you go out of a window at the top and climb on the roof. It's a great way to get a vantage point on the enemies below. There's multiple rows of outdoor space surrounding the barn, but the best part is the interior, which is layers and layers of ladders and platforms. This map is gigantic with tons of nooks and crannies to fight in, so there's always something new to look at. I think this one has a ton going on, and the smoky fog outside is a little creepy. The next map is Chateau, which is absolutely gigantic and maze-like. I've never played this level online, but I can only imagine that it's confusing. The courtyard is fine because it's one long walkway to the castle. The castle, though, is huge with multiple levels with balconies and rooms to explore. Almost every door is openable here, and there's furniture and paths to hallways and basements. It's insane. I love the entrance hall, which has an insane scale for a multiplayer map. I appreciate this one for how much detail is packed into a multiplayer map. I could see getting lost in here very easily online though. Yet this one is neat from a visual and design standpoint. The last map of the bunch is Safe, which is the smallest of the 3. This one takes place in a destroyed building in a destroyed village. Buildings are crumbling and burning, and you have to traverse around it all. I love being able to climb up destroyed areas, but also the tight corridors and courtyards are great places to shoot in. There's a whole section that is built like a bunker with a generator, and it's tight, but has a lot of rooms to hide in. This one has a lot more of an intimate feel than the others, and that's what made it stand out to me. It's a bit gray and drab, but it fits with the World War II aesthetic, and I'm sure it made for a great time online. All of these maps were a good bit of fun for Wolfenstein, which already has a ton of maps to play in. I think these are well worth checking out. Alright, but I do think that wraps it up for today. Those were just some small selections of the DLC available on the Xbox. If you're enjoying this series so far, be sure to let me know in the comments you want to see more of these. I love going through all of them. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to keep up with the retro Xbox content. And I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.